You're in.
All right. You want coffee?
Absolutely.
What's going on, everyone? Had a little bit of technical difficulty there, but welcome to Golf Thursdays here. Sean Fitzgerald, personal trainer at Upper Valley Aquatic Center. So, kind of chit chat about what's going on today. So, it's gonna be a little different. So we'll work on it, and hopefully, you guys still get some good quality content that we like. So, as always, like, subscribe, so as we can get going. But I'll get you guys going so that I can get you guys out of here. So, last week we talked about some back stuff, kind of what the back kind of has a role in, like how an injury happens with the back, why we have an injury in the back, how we can, a couple exercises that we can loosen up our, a little bit of our thoracic, kind of, get us to be able to move and kind of get our swing a little more maybe comfortable than what you might be used to. So hopefully you kind of practice those all week, kind of, maybe kind of notice a little bit from day to day, and if it worked, if it didn't work, what feels better, what doesn't feel better. I'm trying to understand how your body works. So, right. So we're gonna, again, keep going down with our body here. So, another injury or another kind of like headache that some golfers have to deal with is, as we're looking right around the forearm, right around in the elbow. So kind of like an elbow tendonitis, right? So tendonitis is basically swelling of an area, usually overuse, repetitive motion, any of those tennis elbow kind of people that want to play. That's, there is a golfer's elbow, it's just the other side, but more common, tennis elbow is what everyone kind of remembers. And it was like, oh, that's what's my problem. And, everyone tries to use the bands and tries different techniques to see if that works or if it doesn't work, right? So, well, let's take a look at why, and, what we can do to kind of maybe alleviate, maybe try to prevent, things like that to help so you can still be on the course and still be able to do what you want to do. So, go back to the same concept. We're up here in the north, and you get to only play a couple months out of the year, hopefully more, depending on, what the water levels do from the winter to the spring, and, how well everything goes through the summer, and then how early winter decides to come in the fall, right? So you can go from 0 to 90, right? Again, doing swing motions, right? Like you're constantly, you're moving, you're constantly in this position, right? And you're going back and forth. Well, if you're bending your elbow, right? It's my, I'm a righty, so it's my left elbow. I'm bending it. I'm constantly moving it. Well, guess what? It's a repetitive motion. And if you are constantly hitting the ground, taking chunks out in the sand, maybe the sand's not soft, a whole bunch of different other reasons to kind of, you're bending, you're hitting the ground, right? You're just constant putting tension right on that elbow. So body's not ready for that, right? So you went whole winter, beginning of spring, not really doing anything to, help get your elbow, get your biceps, get your triceps, get your forearm, get basically get your arms and, everything like that ready for the sport, right? So what are a couple things that you can do before you get out on the course, right, in the wintertime or in the off season, or even in between rounds that you play? Like if you're down south, out west, and you get to play all year, right, unless it rains, these are things that you can do as always. So you can do dumbbells, towel, like basically any equipment that you got is pretty standard. You can use, you can make things work for, what you got, right? So we're just going to basically start out. I just got a dumbbell right here, right? So just any old dumbbell, got a kettlebell, it's what works and it's what's kind of in the area for you, right? So come on down here. This is kind of my little makeshift table here. So, if you're in the gym, if you're at home, if anything like that, basically all I'm doing is, I'm basically doing some, I take this and all I'm doing is like wrist curls, right? So basically what I'm doing is I'm doing a little bit of wrist curls, and you're going to notice if you just kind of put your finger along, just your forearm right here, on the underneath, like you're going to feel some movement, right? And that's where we want to target, right? So there's some wrist curls, and then you just kind of rotate over, right? And all you got to do is you just kind of bend your wrist up and down, right? So if you notice, you kind of put your fingers right here. You're gonna feel a little bit of movement, right? So that's a pretty simple, couple exercises that you can do to help start strengthening up, this area right here. So that's what you want to try to start doing. Starting to build a little bit of strength in there, build a little bit more endurance while you're constantly, you're swinging and getting used to that movement, right? So what that does is building up some muscle, takes a little pressure off of the elbow joint. So kind of, real basic, just basic kind of understanding, hey, I need more muscle, need a little bit more strength, repetitive motions, I'm going to need it, right? So we're going to basically take a handy dandy towel too, right? So this is just kind of like a washcloth. You can use a hand towel, a big towel. It doesn't really matter. Pillowcase, whatever, whatever works, whatever soft. So all I'm doing is you're just kind of doing basically some like I'm wringing out a towel, wringing out a wet bathing suit. So when, like what does that really do? Well, if you do it, you'll notice, right? You're going to feel it in my wrist, right? And I'm going to feel it coming all the way up. So what that does, again, it's just we're building a little bit of strength. We're building a little bit, we're also loosening up your wrists a little bit so they're not as stiff, because that's what we're going to need. And that will help. And that's just a simple exercise that you can do at your office, right? You got a desk chair, you're going to play, all right, well, I'll do a couple rings, right? I can do, you can do it without a weight. You can do it with a weight. All it is just that movement and get it going, right? So quick, easy, kind of simple little drills that you can do. And so now here, I'll point our camera down so you can kind of see me down here. So this is one that requires a little bit more. So it's a little interesting. If you have bad wrists or anything like that, just know your body, know your limits, take breaks as you need, and things like that. So basically, all I'm doing is here, I'm getting down, so I'm kind of in my hands and knees, position, right? All I'm doing is I'm turning this hand out and this hand out, right? So I still got my wrists underneath my shoulders, everything's in a line, right? We don't want our arms out here, anything like that, right? So we want to stay right here. And basically all we're going to do is you can just rock to the left, kind of hold, a little bit to the right, hold. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to go to top limits. So it's going to be uncomfortable, right? Anytime you're on the wrist, trying to move, you're holding your whole upper body. It's going to be a little uncomfortable. So it's getting used to that and knowing that the more I do it, the better it gets. The more I can go side to side, the more my wrists actually start loosening up, right? So that's because we want to try to get up into the forearm. So here, you did a couple rocks. So one thing that we want to make sure is, if you noticed, my fingers are completely spread out, right? We want to have some space in there, right? We don't want to keep our hands together because we're constantly reaching, right? Our whole lives, we're constantly grabbing. We want to make sure that we can get, that extension going back, right? So here we go. We go here, right? So I'm going to lean to the left, right? One side. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pinky and just try to grab the ground. Just my pinky, you can do it a handful of times. And then you go just your ring finger, a couple of times while I'm leaning on that side, right? Do your middle finger, then your pointer finger, then your thumb, right? And then now all 5 fingers, right? I'm just kind of grabbing that ground. And then, whoop, if you need a break, come on up, right? Do a couple of wrist rolls, kind of loosen it up a little bit. Feels a little good, like kind of massage it out if you have to. You're gonna feel it all up and through here. All right, so take breaks as you need it. Right. Come back down. I'm gonna slide to the right, and same thing. I'm gonna grab the ground just with my pinky, right? Just with my ring finger, middle finger, pointer finger, and thumb, and then I just grab the ground, right? So as I'm leaning over it, right, So if you're not leaning on that side, you're not really going to feel anything. So we want to make sure that we're actually leaning on that side and getting that workout. So again, to tolerance, right? You want to make sure that you are feeling it, but you're not hurting, right? There's a difference between hurting and being a little uncomfortable. Like stretching is you go to not pain, but you go to just discomfort to give you that stretch to get those improvements. So same concept with that movement. It's slide over, if you have a little bit more, if we happen to do, our test, for our assessments, right? You'll kind of know where you're at for how far you're able to go and how much movement you have within your wrist to be able to help your forms and all like that. So I hope this was a little bit information that you might not have known. I hope a couple of these little drills can help you through maybe avoiding a little bit of elbow tendonitis, right? So a little bit. So don't go crazy when you're first starting out, right? Maybe only do, go to the driving range and only maybe hit like 50 balls, not like 100 or 200. So, be wary of that and be careful of where your lies are. And, sometimes, if you're in the rough, like your forearms are going to feel it. So just, monitor that and do a couple of these drills. You can do them once a week, twice a week, try to start building it up and see what kind of gains you got. So hopefully, from the back, you keep doing those. See if your upper back area, the thoracic, loosening up, maybe getting your swing a little better, right? Now moving into your forearms and right around your wrist. So get those a little stronger. You handle tough lies a little bit better, and maybe take a little pressure off the elbow. And then from there, if you're constantly, having that, that's where we're going to want to take a look at why are you bending. So that'll be a whole other kind of sequence of how can we adjust that to keep the pressure off the elbow now. Well, like I said, hopefully you guys, learned a little bit tidbit, take away with a little bit, those golden nuggets, and hopefully you guys got to be able to go out this week. This weekend looks like it's going to be pretty good. So hopefully you get out, take a couple of these tips, hit the driving range, warm up before, make sure the blood's going, make sure the muscles are ready to go, get a couple practice swings, get moving, get loose, and then you get to have a really good round. So like always, like and subscribe. If you're ever in the Upper Valley, don't be afraid to come by to the Aquatic Center, meet one of us, see if you got any hints or, anything else that you want, kind of run by us that we can help you out with. And other than that, hope you guys have a good weekend. All right. Have fun out there. Hope you guys have a good round. All right. Have a good one.